Captain Taeho Kim stood on the bridge of his small research ship, watching the red planet below slowly turn. Velaran Prime was not a pretty world. The surface was covered in dust and rocks, with huge mining machines digging deep holes everywhere. But the planet had valuable metals that the Galactic Council needed, so humans were allowed to work here. "Captain, we are getting strange readings from Sector 7, said Subin Park, his engineer. She was a small woman with quick hands and a sharp mind. "Something big crashed there about 3 days ago." Taeho looked at the screen showing the crash site. The metal thing sticking out of the ground was definitely not human. It was too smooth, too curved. "Any other ships reported missing in this area?" "No, sir," answered Han Yul Choi from the communications station. "Council records show no scheduled flights through this sector." Dongwoo Lee, their medic, looked up from his medical charts. "If someone crashed, they might need help. We should check it out." Taeho nodded. As a human captain, he followed the rules. The Galactic Council was clear about helping anyone in distress, no matter what species they were. "Take us down, Subin." Nice and easy. The ship landed near the crash site with a soft thud. Through the windows, they could see the alien vessel was bigger than it looked from space. Half of it was buried in the red dirt, but the exposed parts showed beautiful designs that seemed to flow like water. "Atmospheric readings are good," Subin reported. "We can breathe out there, but I suggest we wear suits just to be safe." The 4 humans put on their protective suits and walked toward the crashed ship. As they got closer, Taeho could see that parts of the hull had been melted, probably by weapon fire. This was not an accident. Someone was shooting at them. Dongwoo said quietly, pointing to the burn marks. They found an opening in the side of the ship. Inside, strange blue light still glowed softly. The corridor was too tall for humans, made for beings that were much larger. Everything was curved and smooth, with no sharp edges anywhere. "Hello?" Taeho called out. "Anyone in here? We are humans from the research ship Bright Star. We want to help." A sound came from deeper in the ship. It was like singing, but not quite. The 4 humans looked at each other and followed the sound. In what looked like the main living area, they found them. 3 alien beings unlike anything the humans had seen before. They were tall, maybe 8 feet, with skin that seemed to change color like oil in sunlight. Their faces were long and narrow, with large eyes that held great sadness. One of them, who seemed to be the leader, stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice was deep and musical. "You should not be here, humans. It is dangerous for you to help us." "Why?" asked Taeho. "Who are you? What happened to your ship?" The alien looked at his 2 companions, then back at the humans. "I am called Veltar. These are my people, Nixara and Kethira. We are Kirathi, and we are hunted." "Hunted? By who?" Subin asked. "By the Galactic Council," Veltar said. His skin turned darker, showing his sadness. 3 months ago, the Council declared our people to be dangerous. They say we are defective, that our minds work in ways that threaten other species. Dongwoo stepped forward with his medical scanner. "Are you hurt? I can help if you need treatment." Veltar allowed the scan, though he seemed nervous. "We are not badly injured, but our ship cannot fly. The Council patrol ships found us trying to reach the outer systems. They damaged our engines before we could escape." "The Council attacked you?" Hanul could not believe it. "But the Council protects all species. That is what they are for." Nixara, who had been quiet until now, spoke with a voice like silver bells. "The Council fears what they do not understand. My people can touch. Minds share thoughts without words. They call this evil magic and say we will control other species." "But that's just telepathy," Taeho said. "Many species have mental abilities." "Not like ours," Veltar explained. "We can feel the emotions of others, sometimes see their memories. The Council says this makes us too dangerous to live among civilized beings." Subin was checking the ship's damaged systems. "Your engines are completely burned out. This ship will never fly again." Kethira, the youngest of the 3, began to change colors rapidly, showing fear. "Then we will die here. The Council ships will return." Taeho felt something strange in his chest. These beings seemed kind and peaceful. They had done nothing wrong except be born different. The idea that the mighty Galactic Council would hunt them down seemed impossible. But the evidence was right, in front of him. "We have a ship," he said slowly. "We could take you somewhere safe." "No," Veltar said quickly. "If you help us, the Council will punish your people. Humans have worked hard to join the galactic community. Do not throw that away for us." But Tejo was thinking about his daughter back on Earth, and his wife, and all the humans who looked up at the stars and dreamed of exploring them. What kind of galaxy were they really joining if it treated people this way? "Where were you trying to go?" he asked. "The Outer Rim territories," Veltar answered. "There are worlds there where the Council has little power. Some of our people have already reached them." "How many of your people are still being hunted?" Veltar's skin turned very dark. "Thousands. Maybe more. They are hiding on different worlds, trying to find ships to carry them to safety. But most species are too afraid to help us." Hanul's communication device began beeping. "Captain, I'm getting a signal from orbit. 3 Council patrol ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're scanning the planet." The humans and Karathi looked at each other. In a few minutes, the Council ships would find the crash site. They would find the Karathi and probably arrest the humans for being near them. "Subin, how fast can we get to our ship?" Tejo asked. 5 minutes if we run." "Then we run. All of us." Veltar shook his head. "We cannot ask you to risk everything for strangers." Tejo looked at the tall alien's sad eyes and made a choice that would change everything. "You're not strangers anymore. You're people who need help. And that's enough." The 7 beings ran through the red dust toward the human ship as the Council vessels grew larger in the sky above them. 3 months had passed since Tejo first helped the Karathi escape from Velaran Prime. What started as one simple act of kindness had grown into something much bigger. Now, hidden in the asteroid fields far from Council space, the humans had built a secret base. The base was not pretty to look at. It was made from old mining equipment and salvaged ship parts, all connected by metal tubes and held together with hope. But it was home to over 500 Karathi refugees, and more arrived every week. Another transport just came in, Young Mi Kang said as she walked into the command center. She was tired from flying rescue missions, but her eyes still burned with determination. 15 more survivors from the Altair system. The Council found their hiding place and attacked 3 days ago. Tejo looked at the screens showing the new arrivals being helped by Dong Wu and his medical team. Each rescue was getting harder. The Council was learning their methods and setting traps. "Any word from Jiwoo?" he asked. Young Mai nodded toward the communication room. "She's in there now, talking to her contacts on Centauri Station. The news is not good. Jiwoo Shin had been a diplomat for the Galactic Council until she saw what they were really doing to the Karathi. The things she witnessed in the internment camps had changed her forever. Now she used her old contacts to get information and find safe routes for the refugees." In the communication room, Jiwoo was ending a coded conversation with someone on a Council world. Her face was pale when she turned to face Tejo and Youngmi. "The Council has started something they call Operation Clean Sweep," she said. "They're not just hunting Karathi anymore. They're going after anyone who helps them." "What does that mean?" Young Mai asked. "It means they're treating this like a war. Admiral Thexivore has been given complete authority to stop what they call the Human Terrorist Network." Tejo felt cold. "Terrorist network? Is that what they're calling us?" According to Council reports, humans are helping dangerous genetic deviants spread across the galaxy. They say we're a threat to galactic peace and order. Kyung-Soo Han entered the room carrying data tablets. He had been a military officer before joining their cause, and now he planned their rescue operations like a general planning battles. "We have a problem," he said, setting down the tablets. "Our safe houses on 3 different worlds have gone quiet. No communication for 2 days. Council raids?" Tejo asked. "Probably. And there's more. The transport routes we've been using are being watched. The Council has started putting tracking devices on ships leaving their space." Jiwoo pulled up a star map on the main screen. Red dots showed known Council patrol positions. "They're closing the net around us. Every week there are fewer safe places to run." In the medical center, Dongwu was treating a young Kirathi who had been injured, escaping from a council prison. The alien's skin kept changing colors, showing pain and fear. "The healing medicine helps," Dongwu said gently. "But you need rest. You're safe here." The young Kirathi looked at him with large, grateful eyes. "Why do humans help us? Your people could live peacefully with the council if you just forgot about us." Dongwu smiled. "Because forgetting about people who need help is not living peacefully. It's just looking the other way while bad things happen." Back in the command center, the group was planning their most dangerous mission yet. Council intelligence had located a large group of Kirathi families hiding in the industrial district of Kepler Station. The station was deep in council space, heavily guarded, and getting there would require sneaking past multiple patrol fleets. "It's too dangerous," Kyung-soo said, looking at the mission plans. "The station has over 1,000 council security officers. If we're caught, it's not just us who suffer. Every human settlement could face punishment. If we don't go, those families will be captured and sent to internment camps," Young-mi replied. "I've seen what happens in those places. It's worse than death." Veltar entered the room with 2 other Kirathi. Since escaping, he had become the unofficial leader of the refugees. His skin was the deep blue color that meant he was thinking hard about something difficult. "My people do not want to cause a war between humans and the council," he said. "Maybe it would be better if we stopped running and accepted our fate." "No," Taeho said firmly. "The council is wrong about your people. You're not dangerous, you're not defective, you're just different, and that scares them." "But the cost to humanity grows every day," Veltar said. "We hear the council reports. They are threatening to cut trade with Earth. Human colonies are being inspected for signs of Kirathi presence. How long before your people decide we are not worth the trouble?" Jiwoo looked up from her intelligence reports. "Some of them already have. The Earth government is under enormous pressure to stop supporting us. President Lim is holding firm, but there are many who want to hand over the refugees to save humanity's place in the council." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew that their secret network could not continue forever. Each rescue mission brought them closer to discovery. Each new refugee meant more mouths to feed and more lives at risk. "What if we could prove the council is lying about the Kirathi?" Subin asked. She had been quiet in the corner, working on her technical projects. "What if we could show other species that the Kirathi are not dangerous?" "How would we do that?" Kyung-soo asked. Subin pulled up her research on the main screen. "I've been studying Kirathi mental abilities with volunteers. Their telepathy is not invasive or controlling. They can only read surface thoughts, and only with permission. They cannot force anyone to do anything." "The council knows this," Veltar said, sadly. "Truth is not what matters to them. Fear is easier to spread than understanding." "Then we give them something to really fear," Young-mi said with a dangerous smile. "We show the galaxy what the council is really doing. We broadcast the truth. From every station, every world, every ship." Taeho looked at his team. 3 months ago they had been simple researchers and diplomats. Now they were talking about challenging the most powerful organization in the galaxy. "If we do this, there's no going back," he said. "The council will declare us enemies. Humanity will be cut off from galactic civilization. And if we don't do this, good people will keep dying just for being different," Young-mi replied. The alarms suddenly started blaring throughout the base. Hanul's voice came over the speakers. "Council ships detected approaching the asteroid field. Multiple vessels, military configuration. We have maybe 20 minutes before they reach us." The group looked at each other with grim understanding. Their time was up. The council had found their hidden base. "All ships prepare for immediate evacuation," Taeho ordered. "Get the refugees to the escape pods. Priority evacuation for families with children." As the base erupted into controlled chaos, Veltar placed a large hand on Taeho's shoulder. "Whatever happens next, my people will remember that humans stood beside us when the galaxy cast us out." Through the windows, they could see the lights of council warships growing brighter against the stars. The message from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth exactly 72 hours after the evacuation from the asteroid base. President Sung-Ho Lim sat in his office reading the formal declaration with growing disbelief. The words seemed impossible, but they were real. Earth's membership in the Galactic Council is hereby suspended, he read aloud to his advisors. Humanity has 72 hours to surrender all Kirathi refugees and cease illegal harboring activities, or face complete isolation from galactic civilization. Defense Minister Bo Ram Song slammed her hand on the table. This is outrageous. We've followed every council law. We've contributed to galactic defense, shared our technology, opened our markets to alien trade, and now they threaten us for helping refugees? Chief Diplomat In Suk-jan looked pale as she reviewed her reports. The economic impact will be devastating. The Council controls access to faster-than-light communication networks, advanced medical technology, and energy sources that our colonies depend on. Without them, our expansion into space could be set back by centuries. What about our people, already living on Council worlds? Asked another advisor. They're being given 48 hours to leave, In-suk replied. All trade agreements are cancelled. All technology exchanges are stopped immediately. President Lim stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were going about their daily lives, unaware that their species' entire future in the galaxy hung in the balance. Has anyone actually seen evidence of these Kirathi crimes the Council talks about? He asked. No, sir, In-suk said. Every report from our people who have met the Kirathi describes them as peaceful and helpful. Captain Kim's crew says they're some of the kindest beings they've ever encountered. Then why is the Council so afraid of them? Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated. Subin Park's face appeared on the screen, broadcasting from somewhere in deep space. People of Earth, she began. My name is Subin, Park engineer on the research vessel Brightstar. I want to show you something the Galactic Council doesn't want you to see. President Lim and his advisors watched in horror as Subin's broadcast showed footage from inside Council internment camps. Kirathi families crowded into metal cages. Children separated from their parents. Medical procedures being performed without consent. These are the dangerous criminals the Council talks about, Subin said, as the camera showed a group of young Kirathi teaching human children how to create beautiful art with their color-changing abilities. These are the genetic deviants who threaten galactic peace. The footage switched to show Council soldiers attacking a peaceful Kirathi settlement, families running in terror as their homes burned behind them. The images were clear and undeniable. The Council says the Kirathi are planning to control other species with their mental abilities, Subin continued. But I've worked with them for months. They can only sense emotions and surface thoughts, and only when invited. They use their gifts to help, not harm. Defense Minister Bo Ram turned to the president. Sir, this footage could change everything. If other Council species see what's really happening, can we verify it's real? President Lim asked. I'll have our technical teams analyze it, In-suk said, but Subin Park has never been known to lie about anything. The broadcast continued with Dongwoo Lee speaking from a medical facility. I'm a doctor, and I took an oath to help anyone who needs healing. In the past 3 months, I've treated hundreds of Kirathi refugees. They suffer from malnutrition, trauma, and injuries from Council weapons. Their only crime is being born different. On a Council patrol ship orbiting Earth, Admiral Thexvor watched the same broadcast with growing anger. He was a large, gray-skinned being from a species that had served the Council for over 1,000 years. How are they broadcasting this? He demanded from his communications officer. Unknown, sir. The signal is being bounced through multiple relay stations across human space. We cannot trace the source. And how widely is it being transmitted? Sir, it's reaching every major population center in Council space. Over 2 billion beings have already viewed it. Thexvor's 4 eyes narrowed with rage. Then we accelerate our timeline. Begin the blockade of all human colonies immediately. Cut their communication networks. If they want to harbor genetic deviants, they can do it in isolation. Back on Earth, President Lim was dealing with a flood of communications from human colonies across the galaxy. Ship Captain Daesung-Oh was one of many military officers facing impossible orders. "Sir, I've been ordered to intercept and board the refugee transport ships," he reported from his destroyer above Mars. "My crew is asking questions. They've seen the broadcast. They know these aren't terrorists we're chasing." "What are you going to do, Captain?" President Lim asked. Daesung was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his daughter, who wanted to be a xenobiologist and study alien cultures. He thought about the oath he took to protect the innocent. "With respect, sir, I'm going to escort those refugee ships safely to the outer rim. My crew agrees. We didn't join the Space Force to hunt down families looking for safety." Similar reports came in from across human space. Captain Yoonji-nam refused to surrender Kirathi refugees on her transport ship. Commander Seok-jin-yu led his entire squadron away from Council space rather than participate in what he called legalized genocide. But not everyone agreed. On the mining colony of Proxima 7, Governor Min Ho-cha ordered local security to arrest any Kirathi found in his territory. "I won't let these aliens destroy humanity's future," he declared in a public statement. "If the Council wants them, they can have them. Human survival comes first." The division spread across human space like a virus. Families argued. Colonies split between those who supported the refugees and those who wanted to appease the Council. Some ships mutinied when ordered to hunt Kirathi. Others followed orders without question. On the outer rim, Taeho received reports of the chaos from Hanul, who had managed to maintain contact with Earth despite Council jamming attempts. "It's tearing humanity apart," she said sadly. "Some are calling you heroes. Others are calling you traitors who doomed our species." "What does the president say?" Taeho asked. "He's scheduled to address the United Earth Council tomorrow. The vote will determine humanity's official response." Veltar approached Taeho as the communication ended. The Kirathi leader's skin was showing the deep purple of great sadness. "My people have decided," he said quietly. "We will surrender ourselves to the Council. The cost to humanity is too great." "No," Taeho said firmly. "That's not your choice to make anymore. This is bigger than just helping refugees. This is about what kind of galaxy we want to live in. But your people are suffering because of us. Our people are making a choice. Maybe for the first time we're choosing what's right over what's easy." The next day, President Lim stood before the United Earth Council. Representatives from every human world watched as he prepared to speak. The decision he announced would determine whether humanity remained part of the galactic community or faced the vast darkness of space alone. "The Galactic Council has demanded we abandon people who have done nothing wrong except be born different," he began. "They want us to trade our souls for the comfort of their acceptance." He paused, looking at the faces of the representatives. "Humanity chooses to stand with the innocent, no matter the cost. We will not surrender the Kirathi refugees. We will not abandon our principles for political convenience. If the galaxy casts us out for doing what's right, then we will build a better galaxy in the darkness between the stars." The vote was close, but clear. Humanity officially rejected the Council's demands. Within hours, Council fleets surrounded every human world. Earth's membership was formally revoked. Humanity was alone in a hostile galaxy, branded as sympathizers to genetic deviants and enemies of galactic order. But in the outer rim, where refugee ships continued to arrive at secret bases, something new was being born, something that would change the galaxy forever. 1 year after humanity's exile from the Galactic Council, Taeho stood on the observation deck of their new headquarters, watching 3 different types of alien ships arrive at the hidden space station. The humans had learned something important. During their months in the outer rim, the Kirathi were not the only ones the Council had thrown away. The Vorthak delegation just docked at Base 7, Hanul reported from the communication center. Their leader, Crystalline Matrix 9, is requesting a formal meeting. Taeho smiled. The Vorthak were silicon-based beings who looked like living crystals. The Council had declared them inorganic abominations and banned them from civilized space because they were not carbon-based life forms like most other species. "What about the Zephyrians?" he asked. Still having trouble with the containment field, Subin called from engineering. Energy beings are not easy to keep in one place for meetings. The Zephyrians were creatures of pure energy, who had been labeled non-corporeal threats by the Council. They could inhabit computer systems and electronic devices, which terrified species that depended on technology. In the meeting hall, Veltar was preparing for what they had started calling the Alliance Council. The tall Karathi had grown thinner during the year of running and hiding, but his resolve had only grown stronger. "Are the Nethys representatives ready?" he asked Kathira, who had become his chief aide. "They are in the water tanks in Section 12, she replied. Ambassador Deep Current Flowing says her people are honored to be included in these discussions. The Nethys were aquatic beings who breathed water instead of air. The Council had classified them as environmentally incompatible and refused to modify their ships and stations to accommodate water-breathing species. Tejo entered the meeting hall as the various alien representatives gathered. It was an amazing sight. Karathi with their color-changing skin stood next to Crystal Vorthak, whose bodies rang like bells when they moved. Zephyrian energy patterns danced through specially designed containment fields, while Nethys swam in portable water environments. "This is what the Council fears," said Crystalline Matrix 9, its voice like wind chimes. "Unity among the different. Cooperation between the supposedly incompatible." A Zephyrian pattern pulsed in its containment field. Through the translation system, its words came out as electronic music. "The Council's power comes from keeping species separated and afraid of each other. When we work together, we become stronger than them." Young Mi entered the hall with urgent news. Council forces are moving in the Sigma Draconis system. 3 battle fleets under Admiral Thex 4. Intelligence suggests they're planning something big. "How big?" Tejo asked. "Big enough to end us," she replied grimly. "They're calling it a cleansing campaign. Complete elimination of all outcast species in the outer rim." Deep Current Flowing made a sound like rushing water that translated as deep concern. "My people have refugees in the deep ocean worlds of that system. Thousands of Nethys civilians are there. The Vorthak have mining colonies on the asteroids," added Crystalline Matrix 9. "Our children grow in the mineral-rich environments there." Veltar's skin turned dark blue with determination. "Then we must defend them, all of us, together." Kyung-Soo. Han had been studying tactical displays at the back of the room. "We have maybe 40 ships total. The Council is bringing over 200. The odds are not good." "Numbers are not everything," said the Zephyrian pattern. "We have advantages they do not expect." Over the next few days, the Alliance worked frantically to prepare for battle. It was the first time such different species had tried to coordinate military action together. Hanul had the hardest job, creating communication systems that could work between organic beings, silicon crystals, energy patterns, and aquatic minds. "I need to translate not just languages, but completely different ways of thinking," she explained to Subin. "The Vorthak think in mathematical concepts. The Zephyrians process information as energy frequencies. The Nethys communicate through pressure waves and chemical signals. And somehow I have to make them all understand each other during a battle." Subin was working on an even stranger problem. "How do you design weapons and shields that protect silicon, energy, water, and carbon-based life forms all at the same time?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Veltar approached them with a group of young Karathi who had been studying the other species' technologies. "Our telepathic abilities work with all types of consciousness," he said. "We can feel the thoughts of crystal minds and energy beings just as well as organic ones. We could coordinate the battle telepathically. But that would put your people in terrible danger," Tejo said. "If the Karathi telepaths are hurt, the whole alliance loses coordination." "Everything worthwhile requires risk," Veltar replied. "My people have run and hidden for too long. It is time to stand and fight." The Battle of Sigma Draconis began when Admiral Thex 4's fleet dropped out of hyperspace, expecting to find scattered groups of refugees hiding on various worlds. Instead, they found a coordinated defense force waiting for them. "Impossible," Thex 4 growled as his sensors showed the mixed fleet. "How are they working together? These species cannot even exist in the same environments." Sir, they appear to be using some form of telepathic coordination, his tactical officer reported. Their movements are perfectly synchronized despite using completely different technologies. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships provided tactical innovation and adaptability. Karathi telepaths coordinated movements across the entire fleet. Vorthak vessels used crystal-based technology that could repair itself during battle. Zephyrian energy beings inhabited the electronic systems of ships, making them faster and more efficient. Nethys submarines moved through the water ice of comets, launching surprise attacks from directions the Council never expected. Young Mi led a squadron of mixed ships in a daring attack on the Council flagship. Her ship, crewed by humans and Karathi, worked with a Vorthak crystal dreadnought and a Zephyrian-enhanced fighter wing. Target their communication arrays, she ordered through the telepathic link. If we can blind them, they cannot coordinate. Their response. The attack succeeded beyond their hopes. The Council fleet, designed to fight traditional opponents, could not adapt to the Alliance's completely new style of warfare. But the real victory came when Jiwu's intelligence network activated. Across Council space, the footage of the battle was broadcast to billions of beings. They watched in amazement as species that the Council called incompatible worked together in perfect harmony. "Look at them," a Andromedan trader said to his partner as they watched the battle coverage. "The Council told us these species were dangerous, but they're protecting each other's children. The energy beings are keeping the crystal ships powered," observed a Tau Ceti diplomat. "The aquatic species are providing resources to the land dwellers. Where's the threat the Council warned us about?" More disturbing to the Council was what happened when Admiral Thexford tried to use planet-killer weapons against the refugee colonies. The Alliance ships immediately moved to protect the civilian targets, with beings of different species sacrificing themselves to save others' children. "Sir, we're receiving communications from 17 Council member worlds," Thexford's communication officer reported with obvious nervousness. "They're demanding to know why we're using planet-killer weapons against refugee families." "Those are not families," Thexford snarled. "Those are genetic deviants and the traitors who harbor them." But the galaxy was watching, and what they saw was not what the Council had described. They saw cooperation instead of conquest. They saw sacrifice instead of selfishness. They saw a group of outcasts who had built something beautiful together. In the darkness between the stars, the Council fleet retreated from Sigma Draconis, but they had lost something more important than ships. They had lost the narrative. The galaxy was beginning to question why these peaceful beings had been cast out in the first place. On the Alliance command ship, Teho received a message that changed everything. It came from a Council member world called Altera, where the local government had just voted to leave the Council and request membership in the Alliance. "It's starting," Veltar said, his skin showing the golden color of hope for the first time in years. "The galaxy is waking up." More ships were approaching their location, but these were not Council attack vessels. They were refugees, traders, and diplomats from dozens of species who wanted to see this new alliance for themselves. The outcasts had become something the Council never expected, an example of what the galaxy could be when differences were celebrated instead of feared. The final battle for the galaxy's future began not with ships and weapons, but with a single transmission that reached every civilized world at the same time. Young Mi and her strike team had spent weeks infiltrating the Council's central communication hub on Nexus Prime, and now their work was paying off. "This is the truth the Council doesn't want you to see." Subin's voice echoed across 1,000 worlds as previously hidden footage played on every screen in Council space. Images of peaceful Karathi families being torn apart, Vorthak children destroyed simply for being made of crystal instead of flesh, Zephyrian energy beings trapped and tortured in containment fields. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Thexfor watched in horror as his carefully constructed narrative fell apart. For decades, the Council had maintained power by convincing member species that the outcasts were dangerous. Now billions of beings were seeing the truth. "Sir, we're receiving reports from across Council space," his communication officer said nervously. 17 worlds have already declared independence. More are voting on withdrawal from the Council." "How is this possible?" Thexfor demanded. How are they broadcasting on our secure networks? The answer came from Nexus Prime itself, where Dongwu led a team of human, Kirathi, and Vorthak technicians in the most important mission of their lives. Working together, they had discovered something the Council had hidden for centuries. Their communication system was not just for sending messages. It was also used to control what people could see and hear. The Council has been filtering information for over 500 years, Dongwu explained in his broadcast. They decide what news reaches each world. They control what different species learn about each other. They have kept the galaxy divided by keeping it ignorant. In the main assault, Tejo led the largest fleet the Alliance had ever assembled toward the Council's fortress world of Centralis. Ships from dozens of species flew together in formations that would have been impossible just months before. All units, this is Admiral Tejo, he said, still getting used to his new rank. Remember, we're not here to conquer. We're here to liberate. The goal is to end the Council's ability to oppress anyone, not to replace their tyranny with our own. The telepathic network that Veltar and the Kirathi maintained allowed perfect coordination between species that had never worked together before. Crystal ships responded instantly to energy being communications. Aquatic vessels moved in harmony with organic crews. The diversity that the Council called weakness had become the Alliance's greatest strength. Council fleet detected, reported Hanul from the sensor station. Admiral Thexvor has positioned his remaining forces in orbit around Centralis. 200 ships, all heavily armed. And they're not alone, Young Mi added grimly. Long range, sensors show at least 50 member world fleets. The Council has called in every favor and made every threat to assemble this force. But as the Alliance fleet approached, something unexpected happened. The member world fleets began breaking formation. Ships from Andromeda, Tau Ceti, and a dozen other systems turned away from the battle. This is Admiral Keth Nara of the Andromedan fleet, came a transmission. My people have seen the truth about the Council's actions. We will not fire on refugees and those who protect them. One by one, the Council's allies abandoned the fight. Some left the system entirely. Others moved to join the Alliance formation. By the time the two main fleets faced each other, Admiral Thexvor found himself outnumbered for the first time in his long career. Sir, perhaps we should consider negotiation, suggested his tactical officer. Never, Thexvor roared. The Council has maintained order in this galaxy for 1,000 years. I will not let it fall to genetic deviants and their human pets. The battle that followed was fierce but brief. The Council's ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight conventional enemies. They had no answer for the Alliance's coordinated attacks using completely different types of technology working in harmony. But the real victory came when Thexvor, in desperation, tried to activate the planet-killer weapon mounted on his flagship. The target was not a military installation but a refugee camp on one of Centralis's moons, where thousands of Kirathi families lived. If I cannot have order, then I will have destruction, he declared. The weapon fired, a beam of pure energy capable of cracking a moon in half, but it never reached its target. A wall of Alliance ships moved into its path, absorbing the deadly energy with their combined shields. Humans, Kirathi, Vorthak, Zephyrians, and Nethys vessels all took damage to protect people they had never met. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as beings of different species sacrificed themselves for others' children. It was the final proof that everything the Council had taught about these dangerous outcasts was a lie. Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from the remaining Council ships, reported the tactical officer on Thexavor's bridge. Admiral, our own crew is requesting permission to stand down. Thexvor looked around his bridge and saw beings of different species, all of them members of the Council he had served faithfully for decades. But now they were looking at him with fear and disgust instead of respect. You were wrong, Admiral, said his Tau Ceti science officer quietly. We all were. These people aren't monsters. They're just different, and we were taught to hate them for it. In the aftermath of the battle, the old Galactic Council collapsed not with violence but with embarrassment. As more hidden records were revealed, member worlds learned the full extent of the persecution and lies. Species that had been told other races were dangerous discovered they had been manipulated into fear and hatred. The transition was not easy. There were conflicts and confusion as thousands of worlds tried to figure out how to interact without the Council's control. But slowly, something better began to emerge. 6 months later, President Sung-Ho Lim stood before the founding assembly of the new Galactic Confederation. Representatives from hundreds of worlds and dozens of species filled the Great Hall, including many who had been excluded from the old council. "The galaxy cast some of us out," he said in his speech, "but in the darkness between the stars we found something the council never offered: true unity. Not unity through conformity, but unity through understanding." He gestured to the diverse assembly before him. "Here stand beings of crystal and energy, of water and flesh, of mind and matter. The old council said we could not coexist. They were wrong. We do not just coexist, we thrive together." In the audience, Tai-Ho sat with Veltar and the other founders of the Alliance. The Karathi's skin showed the warm gold color of deep contentment. "What will you do now?" Veltar asked. "The fighting is over. The refugees are safe. You could go back to being a simple research captain." Tai-Ho smiled and pointed to the new emblem of the Galactic Confederation, which showed different types of beings standing together under the stars. "I think I'll stay in this line of work. There's a whole galaxy to explore, and we're going to need ships with mixed crews to do it right." The final scene showed the launch of the new exploration vessel Unity. Its crew included humans, Karathi, Vorthak, Zephyrians, Nethys, and members of a dozen other species. As it headed toward uncharted space, carrying beings who had once been told they could never work together, the galaxy itself seemed brighter. The Council had cast them out, calling them defective and dangerous, but in the cold darkness between the stars, they had built something beautiful. A future where differences were celebrated, where fear gave way to understanding, and where no one would ever again be cast out simply for being born different. Humanity had learned its greatest lesson not among the civilized worlds of the galaxy, but in exile with those the galaxy had rejected. They learned that true strength comes not from forcing others to be like you, but from standing beside them as they are. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders yet to be discovered, and now, for the first time in its history, all its children would explore those wonders together.